So hi everyone. So now we are going to start and look at further functions of or the activities undertaken by Niti Aayog. So we have analyzed the nutrition sector. Now there is a whole lot of debate on the health sector reform. So Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So this particular scheme was launched on 23rd September 2018. And it is expected to benefit 500 million beneficiaries. Under this scheme, the idea is that the per family up to 5 lakh support is given, and then the modus operandi is that the certain income means the people who are coming from the low income strata, it becomes really difficult to avail the secondary and tertiary healthcare services. So this particular scheme helps those individuals who have a certain income requirement fulfilling. So there is a particular process to benefit or to provide benefit to around 500 million beneficiaries who are having certain income strata. So there will be it is linked to Aadhaar scheme, and then once an individual is identified and meet the parameter, he or she, irrespective of number of members in the family, is eligible for up to 5 lakh support. And there is a impanelment of more than, as of 30th December 2018, there were 16,112 impaneled hospitals. So in India right now, in the health sector, the issue is that we have limited government hospitals, and we have to encourage the role of whatever the number of facilities that we have from the private sector. So in order to make sure that we utilize the private sector services also, now government has gone for introducing insurance policy, where this particular insurance, once the private sector hospital is also impaneled, then based on the e-card services, an individual will be able to utilize the services and will be having tertiary, secondary and tertiary healthcare services. And one of the important after the introduction of this Ayushman Bharat, certain concerns have been raised, that instead of looking for a quality healthcare, which means that government should have invested more in terms of creating more healthcare infrastructure, the government has gone for simply expanding the healthcare services by including the private sector. But there is always a concern about the efficiency of or the quality of healthcare services provided by private sector. So in certain pockets of the country, there are differences on the implementation of Ayushman Bharat, but as of now, based on the economic survey 2018-19, it appears that 16,112 hospitals were impaneled, then 6.81 lakhs beneficiaries were admitted, then we have a 39.48 lakhs e-cards were issued. So which means that this particular scheme has helped a lot. So this is one scheme that Niti Aayog gives consultation to different to ministries, plus it also monitors the implementation in different states, and if there are some states which are having a higher success rate in terms of implementation, then that particular scheme or that particular method will be replicated in all other states. So Niti Aayog basically looks for innovative mechanism through which the gigantic public policies can be efficiently implemented. Then apart from this, there is a standing committee headed by, so there is a reform in pharmaceutical and medical services sector. The standing committee headed by Dr. V.K. Kaul is constituted to provide recommendations to the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. Now in this, you have a trade margin rationalization, that is called TMR. So United States is continuously bargaining with India that they should do away with this trade margin rationalization. Under that, trade margin rationalization is important because whatever is the cost that you import and how much the consumer is paying, if the difference is wide, which means that there is a high margin incurred by the supplier, and this will go for some kind of extraordinary or some kind of profiteering. So just to stop that, government has gone for a certain rationalization of the norm, so that this wide gap should be as narrow as possible, and prices of generic medicines and even the non-scheduled drugs should be lower and benefit should be provided. So far under this scheme, the government has been successful in terms of capping, and now in certain cases now the gap between this trade margin rationalization has benefited, and in some cases the drop non-scheduled drugs have been around 91%, which is the significant fall in the price. Then there is a whole lot of effort by Niti Aayog to do ease of doing business, which means there are certain innovations in terms of required medicine. There is a whole lot of debate. There is a whole lot of effort to simplify certain new drug regulation. Then there is a trial policy for certain drugs which are needed. So, the government has gone for bringing innovation in that area. Then there is a promotion of entrepreneurship in the innovation and manufacturing of medical devices. There is a whole lot of encouragement of I would say private sector in this particular scheme, so that this particular scheme becomes really useful. Then there is a contentious bill that was that became a talk or the topic of debate and discussion on the print and digital media, and there was also protest from the doctors. It was the National Medical Commission Bill. PM constituted a committee to bring reforms in the Medical Council of India in March 2016, and then there was recommendation of National Medical Council bill. So, the bill is supposed to repeal the Indian Medical Council Act 1956 and replace the Medical Council of India with National Medical Commission, and this National Medical Commission will have the members appointed by the central government. So, there is a whole lot of apprehension that the central government will now have complete dominance on the NMC. And unlike earlier MCI, Medical Council of India, 70% members were elected, but now it will reduce to only 20%. So, there is a whole lot of debate on this also, that the democratic process that MCI had, it will reduce, but there are instances where MCI members have not done well. There have been abundant examples of high corruption, manipulations in terms of approval, accreditation and implementation of certain health regulatory norms. So, I think there is a difference among the proponents and the opponents of this particular scheme NMC. Then there is a apprehension about granting limited license to practice medicine at mid level as community health provider. So, that is why we have a 5 years MBBS program. So, now there is a scheme that in middle also, if they want to, and some alternative medical professions or some alternative medical schemes that we have in terms of Ayush, Ayurveda and all. So, there is a likelihood that these individuals will also be given the license to become a practitioner. And then there is a scheme to introduce a national exit test, which means that before the completion of the bachelor's degree, the individuals will have to appear for one more test to get the license. So far it was not there. If you are completing MBBS, you just have to register with the state medical board, and then after that you are entitled for practice, or you will have to follow certain norms to go for practice. But now there is implementation, there is a likelihood that this national exit test will be implemented, and this has become the controversial subject, and that is why the stakeholders are not very happy. So, these are the major changes that the National Medical Commission Bill has introduced, and Niti Aayog is monitoring this. So, health sector reforms, it includes everything from pharmaceutical to the paramedical staff and how the design of the whole medical education in India that we have. So, the biggest contentions are these, that NMC will be completely controlled by or it will have a larger control of the central government. Then there are certain rules implemented for the implementation and design of the program and licenses. So, those are the issues that are worth discussing. Then the Niti Aayog also advises on the agriculture sector reforms, which talks about doubling farmers' income. There is a committee of chief ministers for transformation of Indian agriculture, and this committee has gone through. There was a meeting in 2019 also to think about food processing sector, investment in agriculture, subsidy on drip irrigation, water conservation, APMC Act, and then we have Essential Commodities Act. Then this particular scheme is useful because now, since we are having a lot of say in the promotion or encouragement of private sector. So it is expected that these changes going to be the new norm of the market. So now government is also trying to adjust with the new changes, because there is a lot of bargaining coming from, or there is a lot of lobbying coming from the private sector also to participate in the agriculture market. And agriculture market, since for a long time it has been in the hand of government, and government also wants to bring changes by introducing private sector on a pilot basis on certain schemes. Then there is implementation of minimum support price, PM ASHA. This is also one of the important schemes, and under this you have a three. So one is called price deficiency procurement scheme, PDPS, and under this PDPS scheme, one good thing is that if the farmer is going to sell the produce in the open market, and whatever is the difference between MSP price and the market price, government will compensate that deficiency, and then it will be transferred through the electronic means of payment. So this price deficiency procurement scheme is also important. Then you have a price support scheme, but these are only for the oil seeds and other agriculture produce. So under a price support scheme, the idea is that one should help the certain aggregators in terms of providing services to this particular scheme. Then there is a private procurement and a stockist scheme. Under this, in certain districts, government has gone for introducing the private players in terms of procurement of food items, mostly the oil seed and pulses, and this particular guy will be allowed to buy whenever the price of the produce has fallen below MSP, and then this particular guy will be given this particular private player will be given incentive in at the later stage. So this particular scheme has been suggested to implemented in certain districts, and certain states are being advised to implement this. And so these schemes are going to give important direction to the new agriculture era, where there is a role of private player also. So far we used to have the MSP price, Food Corporation of India used to play a role, but now it looks like going ahead we will have the role of private players also. So new farm laws we will have under agriculture sector reforms, and we will be discussing in detail whatever we have contentious law implemented, and there is a whole lot of debate and discussion on that. Farmers are protesting. Then we have a zero budget natural farming. Under this we have two schemes, Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana under the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana RKVY. Now this particular scheme is monitored by the Vice Chairman Dr. Rajiv Kumar, and there is a whole lot of promotion to bring holistic change in terms of organic farming. So certain practices, if it is being implemented in certain districts, certain state, then that will be implemented to some other districts also. Then there is a promotion of village store program. Under that you have a geotagging, and then we have schemes of Gramin agriculture markets, which is going to be on the same line of APMC. So it is some kind of a mix of Gramin agriculture markets, which is APMC and the farmers. So in agriculture sector reforms, you will find that now we are moving towards not just a conventional setup of announcing the MSP. There is a whole lot of effort to revive the agriculture sector through different schemes. Then we have a higher education system. In India, we have not gone for a major structural change in higher education. So there is a whole lot of effort to bring change in this also. So the new education policy is the outcome of this move, that how we have gone for enacting a new education policy, and it is expected to be implemented very soon across all the universities and institutions. So now Niti Aayog has advised the institutions to progress well on research and innovation, provision of joint degree between institutions. Then there is a whole lot of provision of opening up campuses by top foreign universities in India, and then there are some suggestions on the performance based incentives to the instructors plus the institutions in the sense that if the ranking of the institutions is not good on the NIRF, then they will be also given limited financial assistance, and this will be further monitored. So, this particular these are the some of the controversial, hotly debated topics of discussion, but the idea behind this is that now this will be the new norm for the for in India's education system in coming years. Educational reforms in aspirational districts are also monitored. So, there is a establishment of libraries and development of buildings as learning aids, which is called BALA. So, there is a particular scheme announcement. Then there is a community enhancing community participation. There is a monitoring rule for dropouts. If there are higher dropouts observed in a particular district, then there will be certain incentives given to them. But in the aspirational districts program, there is a role of private sector also. So, hopefully not up to a significant level, but in future it is expected to increase. Then we have energy sector outlook, sector reforms. So, under this, as I told, we are in the era of transition from the fossil fuel, the conventional fuel energy sources, to renewable, and then we are also going for implementing the electrified vehicles. So, there is a whole lot of debate and discussion on that. So, International Energy Agency has come out with the India 2020 Energy Policy Review. It is available on the NITI Aayog website. You can also go on the IEA website and download this. I have tried to summarize some of the important initiatives. So, IEA has appreciated a lot in India in moving or in giving importance to clean fuel, not to only the urban setup, but also in rural areas. So, during 2000 to 2019, around 750 million had the access to electricity. That has been appreciated. Encouragement of clean cooking even in rural masses through Ujjwala scheme, and the promotion of social photovoltaics PV have also been appreciated. The report also stresses on the need to have countrywide wholesale market, because this countrywide wholesale market will have an important role, because we have a national grid. So, national grid will give a lot of emphasis on this. Then we have a better regulatory apparatus to look for the progress of the common reform. The effort to increase the strategic stock holding policy have also been highlighted in report. So, these are the major highlights of this national energy policy. It comes under national energy policy, but it has not been designed in a much better way, but this energy policy review has been appreciated a lot. Then in order to transform the India's gold market, there is there are 4 recommendations. So, NITI Aayog has set up a committee to look after this, and report was submitted in February 2018. So, there is a Make in India in gold, creation of jewelry parks, export promotion through value additions, hallmarking issues. So, now Government of India is now trying to have India's own hallmarking, and it is going to be at par with the international standards. Then financialization of gold monetization scheme and gold metal loans. So, these are the 2 schemes which are functioning, and this gold monetization scheme, in that you can surrender gold and you can convert that into a loan kind of thing, and gold metal loan is also for jewelers. They can simply go and ask for certain amount of gold from the bank. The idea is that the financial institutions will be the source of selling of the bond, so that certain amount of bond, certain amount of gold can come back in the form of credit and all. So, this will further have a credit expansion mechanism, and this will help in reviving the economy. And then new gold saving account incentivization of gold transactions and all. Then we have a tax reforms, rationalization, import duty. So, this has been recommended by the committee to Ministry of Finance to look after. Waiver of CTT on gold derivatives, commodities transaction tax, because gold is a commodity. So, a review of GST provisions to support the MSME sector, because the MSME sector is also having small players which operate in the gold business. Regulatory infrastructure, setting of gold board, creation of bullion exchange that we have. So, in India we have MCX, then to some extent we have NCDX also, but NCDX normally known for agriculture commodities derivatives, but we already are in the process of setting some trading platforms where it can be useful to make India's gold market align with the global gold market. one important role that in order to promote the cooperative federalism between center and state, now Niti Aayog looks after the needs of the states and tries to look after from the perspective of socioeconomic indicators that includes water, education, nutrition, and the 2030 SDGs, because it has become one of the core areas of policies, and it was suggested by the United Nations Assembly in 2015, and since then it has been, and there are around 15 indicators to look after. That includes everything, so water, education, and nutrition. Niti Aayog has developed Sustainable Development Index, which means that those states which are doing good on sustainable development goals, they will be monitored on different parameters. Those which are laggard, they will be monitored on different parameters. So now this Niti Aayog role becomes really important in this respect. So the first edition of Sustainable Development Goals Index was launched in December 2018. And 2018 index used 62 indicators, and 2019 is based on 100 indicators, and all these indicators are derived from MOSPI. So you can go on the MOSPI website, Ministry of Statistics, it is called Ministry of Statistics Programming and Implementation. So under this MOSPI you have a whole lot of data about India's economy. If you are from economics, and if you are economics student, then you should go and visit this website, register and log in and see the large number of indicators that you have. So you can think about implementing certain writing assignments or doing some project report. So as per the ranking 2019, Kerala leads the ranking of SDGs, followed by Himachal Pradesh. Among UTs, Chandigarh, Puducherry occupied the first and second place, and the score of the Kerala at around 70, which has shown a significant improvement. 3 states shared the same rank: Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana. Bihar was listed at the bottom, followed by Jharkhand and Arunachal Pradesh. The only state which has shown the surprising progress it is reported that it was Uttar Pradesh, which has shown surprising improvement in terms of ranking. But these are the Sustainable Development Goal Index that Niti Aayog has planned, which means that under this scheme, Kerala, Chandigarh, Puducherry, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana, these states will be monitored on different set of requirements, and those states which are at the bottom, they will be monitored on different requirements. So here it is the same. In 2015, SDGs is a part of UN resolution, also known as Agenda 2013. SDGs include 17 indicators. So I mentioned 15. Now it should be 17. Then on innovation also, this Niti Aayog functions a lot, and it helps understand the different roles of innovations. So in this we have a Atal Innovation Mission. So in this the idea is that we should have the entrepreneurial ecosystem at school level, university level, and then we should have a dedicated platform. So under Startup India, we have certain schemes to be implemented. For example, Atal Tinkering Labs, school level innovation Indoor, which means that these schemes are implemented at school levels, and then it is monitored, and there are certain schemes, certain competition through which such type of schemes are being implemented. Atal Incubation Center, building the world class startups culture, which means that these incubators will be set up across institutions, and certain financial incentives will be provided. The role of private sector becomes important because these schemes are mainly meant to support the private sector self-employment schemes and self-employment process. Atal New India Challenges, promotion of product innovations at the level of sectors and ministries, which means that each and every ministry is having some kind of incentives to think about promotion. So some industries, some sectors are, if they are going to go after certain innovative procedures to minimize the either time or the money, then these innovations will be further shared, and the promoters will be given further financial incentives to be implemented at a larger scale. Mentor India campaign, a national mentorship network that mentors the entrepreneurial ecosystem of the public sector, corporates and institutions. So, this is also one scheme. All the institutions, even IITs are going to have now research parks. Under that there will be companies set up, and these startups will have some kind of synergies, and they can also help these institutions, corporates to solve the problem. Atal Community Innovation Center to promote community centric innovations, ideas to remote regions of the country. In remote areas, certain activities which are of household nature or any kind of domestically driven ideas, then this particular or community driven ideas which are of innovative nature and which are of high value, or it can contribute at a higher rate to certain economic activities in certain regions. For example, handloom industries, if it is going to have some kind of innovative marketing mechanism being implemented in certain regions, then this will be also enforced. Then you have ARISE to cater the innovative needs of the MSME industry, because MSME is one area where the government is having a special focus, and this particular industry contributes a lot in GDP and even in terms of share. So, that is why it cannot be ignored. One area, one niche area where this particular Niti Aayog helps is the women entrepreneurship platform. So, under this you have Ichha Shakti initiative, starting the business. If you have a woman who has some idea about or if you have a woman entrepreneur who has the idea about implementing certain schemes, certain practices, certain business ideas, then she will be supported. Then you have a Gyan Shakti providing knowledge, mentorship. So, grassroots level innovations schemes are being implemented, and these Gyan Shaktis are organized even in institutions, and where these budding entrepreneurs will be given training for certain periods for 1 or 2 months to give sufficient idea about how to go about certain legal norms, certain prerequisite norms. Then you have Karma Shakti to provide hands-on support to entrepreneurs in setting up, scaling up businesses. If they already have some business, women entrepreneurs, if they have some business, then how they can expand, how they can collaborate. So, this platform will be given to them, right. So, these are the schemes. Then we have a women entrepreneurship platform. So, incubation and acceleration, connect entrepreneurs to incubation centers. If you have basically this talks about grassroots level innovations. Then you have entrepreneurship skilling, how a woman entrepreneur can be given a skilling, which means that if she is not well educated and if she needs some kind of training required for that kind of business, then that will be supported. Funding and financial assistance, seed grants are given, and they are also invited to investor consortium, investment council and other. Then you have a social entrepreneurship to provide access to entrepreneurial network, funding opportunities, mentorship. Social entrepreneurship in India works a lot. In certain communities you have a business processes doing well. So, that business process helps a lot in understanding, in going for a higher success rate. So, and even in 1920 economic survey, it mentions that the rate of entrepreneurship or having a new firm, it has gone up. India is now the third largest country in the world to have the number of new firms created, and the rate has been really high. It has now gone more than 12%. So, the chapter 2 of Indian Economic Survey, chapter 2 of Indian Economic Survey 2019-20 mentions the details about the entrepreneurship and the innovation culture that India is having. So now what we have done is that we have analyzed the role of Niti Aayog. Now we can in 5 lines, if I have to conclude about the Niti Aayog, then we can say that unlike conventional planning commission that we had till 2014, and now after 2015 we have seen that there is a whole lot of effort to make or to align the center and state priorities and to make the prospect of growth and development better. There is a whole lot of holistic focus on the revival in each and every sector, but one concern that remains is the promotion of the private sector in each and every activity. Most of these schemes that we have seen are of pilot type. So, government is now trying to monitor and see how these schemes are implemented. Even at the later stage, the role of a private sector is going to be higher. One appreciable thing is that the Niti Aayog is continuously monitoring the progress and implementation of certain public policies, especially in the area of health and even in the area of pension. And these schemes, if it is being monitored continuously, then of course there will be certain good practices which will be worth considerable in the future. And the opponents argue that since we have completely adopted the market process, so the role of Niti Aayog becomes completely some kind of lobbying group, but because the advisory services are of the lobbying type. But considering the dynamic changes that we are experiencing in the economy, it is expected and it is inevitable. Thank you so much.